Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA live segment for Tuesday, February 25th. We're just going to kind of take about 10, 15 minutes to break down some news right before lock and kind of get you guys updated on the day. Some guys that we think are possibly some really good value plays with the injury news, etc. We're going to start doing this on a more regular basis. So definitely start tuning into our live segment. We want to do it around 3 p.m. Pacific time every day, an hour before lock. Yeah, man, I'm excited to do this. How you doing out there, Jeremy?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy day. We got a ton of content on the site for all sports. We've got PGA, NHL, NBA. It's been a busy day with injuries. Just busy, man. There's a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, man. If you don't mind, real quick, if you could kind of just go through and give us an overview of some key injuries that are out there, and we could talk about some key kind of value plays that's out there, and we could kind of go about our day.
So Brooke Lopez will play today. That was one that everybody's kind of waiting on news to see if Robin Lopez, who was 7X yesterday, was going to be back in rotation today. Devontae Graham not expected to play today. And then you've got Patrick McCaw, who's been ruled out. Draymond Green has been ruled out. With Marquise Chris, he's going to play. You've got Kemba Walker out, Victor Oladipo out. One interesting thing that's not pertaining to today, but Stephon Curry is supposed to make his debut on Sunday, so everybody needs to kind of watch out for that. So there's a lot of injuries that kind of impact today that we already knew about, like Kemba Walker. And there's also injuries that are being listed, like guys like Ben Simmons, who is supposed to miss the next 2 weeks. So you've got Curry coming back. That's a big injury news break. And then you've got Ben Simmons expected to miss the next 2 weeks. So the main injuries that kind of impact things is Devontae Graham and Victor Oladipo, in my opinion. Those are the two biggest ones.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you. Some guys that are really jumping out to me based on injury that's really kind of are really good value plays. I'm looking at a couple guys on the Indiana side of things. I definitely think that Brogdon gets a bump. I also like Aaron Holiday. He's probably going to step in there and get. He actually is already confirmed he's going to step in there and get the start for Oladipo being out at 3,700. I think that Aaron Holiday is a premier value play on today's slate. With Brooke Lopez out, it does kind of take Robin Lopez off of the table a little bit. I'm just kind of going game by game, some things that are really standing out to me. A guy that you mentioned, Chris Dunn, is going to continue to be out. You could possibly look at Kobe White, but 5,200 is not a really clear-cut value play. But it's not a horrible price neither, and I think that you could definitely look to get a couple shares of him, and at least in GPPs. Detroit, Denver, that game, I'm just kind of going, like I said, going kind of by game. I think that game doesn't really have not too much significant injury news. The Pelicans and Lakers, I expect Anthony Davis to play. I think both teams are going to be pretty healthy in that game, and they'll just kind of they'll have their full complement of players. We get to the Boston and Portland game, and there's definitely some significant injuries out there. Kemba Walker, Damian Lillard, a couple guys that we mentioned in our video earlier. We like Anthony Simons at 4,200. He's a guy that could go underlooked today just because he didn't necessarily get to start last game. And I think that he's a pretty good play today on today's slate. McCollum gets an obvious bump, with Damian Lillard out. He's a primary scorer and ball handler now. You got Marcus Smart, 5,300. He's going to get a start. I actually put Marcus Smart in my cash game core plays. I think that he's a pretty easy cash game play today. He's going to get a bunch of minutes, and I think he can get you 6X easily against this Portland team. Gary Trent, he's the one that got the start for Portland last game. Back-to-back games of 35, 36 minutes at 4,600. I think he's a very fair price tag, somebody that we can look at. I like Carmelo. I think Carmelo gets a big-time bump there. I'm going to go to the last game, and I'll let you kind of get in here if I miss some stuff. Sacramento against Golden State. I mean, the main guy, a couple of good value plays. I mean, Kai Bowman at 4,100. I think he's a premier value play at the power point guard position. Probably a little bit more of a cash game play, but definitely he's shown us some upside at that price tag. So I like him there. The only really other guys, I think that Bojan Bogdanovic at 4,400, I think is a pretty fair price tag. He's going to get the start nod. And the guy that I really like, and I put him in my cash games, is Harry Giles, 4,000. Last game, he played 31 minutes and got you 33 fantasy points. It's all about minutes with this guy. When he does get minutes, he definitely produces. And it's going to be an up-tempo game against this Warrior team, so I think that he's a really good value play out there. Those are just kind of some things that are really standing out to me. What did I miss? What don't you like? And where are you at with today's injuries?
I'm not sure if I'd say Kai Bowman's a cash game play. I think that maybe you meant to say more of a tournament play.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, I think he's a cheaper player that has some upside.
Yeah, maybe. A couple of guys that I really like you didn't mention, and we got one question from Dwyer here that he wants to know where we're at on the center position. I have to tell you, man, I really like Alex Len. I really like Alex Len. The more the day's gone on and the more I've looked into it and the more that I've seen, the fact that he did play minutes, they waited for him for 2 weeks. He was recovering from an injury. You're talking about Harry Giles has really been playing that center spot with guys like Rashawn Holmes out, Marvin Bagley Jr. out. Alex Len comes in, gives him a lot of size. We know Alex Len's always been about minutes, right? Even going back to his days in Phoenix and even when he was in Atlanta, coming off the bench in Atlanta, it's always been about minutes with this guy. In this matchup with no Draymond, you've got Marquise Gris, and who else do you have? Right. Bender? I mean, I just think this is a really solid spot for Alex Len. I like him a ton. He's probably my favorite center play for tournaments tonight. And then a couple of other guys that you talked about. You mentioned you didn't mention anything about Toronto. With Patrick McCaw out, I think that opens the door for obvious plays like Fred VanVleet, and it opens the doors for maybe Kyle Lowry. But I think what it does is it really gives extended run to a guy like Terrence Davis and maybe Rondé Hollis-Jefferson as extreme value plays in deeper field tournaments. So those are two guys I think you can definitely look at in tournaments. And then we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Terry Rozier. We both like Terry Rozier a little bit this morning on the morning shoot-around, but now if Devontae Graham is not going to play and Malik Monk is going to start, I think you can possibly look at Malik Monk. We've seen what he's done, but we talked about Malik Monk this morning as well. I just think Rozier is going to get extended usage, and he's only $5,000 on FanDuel. It's a dirt cheap price in this matchup, and Indiana hasn't been the best team all year against point guard. So, I like Scary Terry in this spot. And then one last guy I'll mention is Ryan Arcidiacono. I like him as well in tournaments today. I think people are going to be on Kobe White. You can't chase points with Kobe White. Look, he's a very talented player, but don't look at the game log and say, oh, he's going to score 33 points against tonight. He might, but I'm not a guy who's going to chase. I like the pivot to Arcidiacono in this spot.
Yeah, for sure. And that was the only thing earlier when we talked about the Kobe White thing is, well, they got so many guards that they could play at that point guard spot out there in Chicago. And like, Ryan, I like Ryan as well. I think that he's a pretty good player, and that's why I was a little bit hesitant on Kobe White. But nonetheless, I mean, we're looking for at least some good GPP plays. Help us get some takedowns tonight for sure.
One other guy that I'll mention, bro, is Cody Martin, right? Cody Martin. It's a guy nobody ever talks about. The attention's going to go to Malik Monk. We've seen Cody Martin have, look back to February 3rd. He played 28 minutes at 36.1 fantasy points. He just played 25 minutes against Chicago. He played 17 minutes in the last game against Brooklyn. And if, Graham is out, Cody Martin's a guy that we've seen in this spot before be a guy who's, kind of been somewhat of a slate breaker coming out of nowhere. I believe we had him in our cash game lineup when nobody else did way early in the season, and he went like 10x.
Who?
Cody Martin.
Oh yeah, for sure. One more guy I just have to throw out there because I was on this guy the other day and he dudded a little bit, and so I don't think people are going to be on him. But I think he's going to get the minutes, and our optimizer has him projected at almost 7x. So I wouldn't be doing due diligence if I didn't mention him. I do like Daniel Gafford as well, one of the big guys for Chicago. Chicago is very, very short. They have very, very short staff right now in their front court. He's a guy that did show us a little bit of upside a couple of games ago. So I just think at 3,800, he's another guy you could possibly look at as a GPP value play, for the Chicago. So I think that's really where we're at, man. I think we kind of, touched everybody's questions, and we kind of went through the slate. I really enjoy doing this, and I'm looking forward to doing this. More and more we'll start getting to it every single day. I think this helps people out a lot, and I think it helps ourselves a lot as well. I'm about to start building out my final lines right now, and it kind of gives me one more clear cut review of what's on the slate today. So, hey man, thank you guys for checking out this video. We got a lot of other stuff on the site for today's slate and a lot of other sports as well. So check it out, dfscheatsheet.com. And hey, good luck on your guys' contest tonight, all right? Peace out.